Devolution. According to Google, the transfer or delegation of power to a lower level, especially by a central government, to a local regional administration. So, in other words, devolution is a process by which governance goes from being kind of a top-down approach to being facilitated by regional governments. All right. You might think, hey, that's kind of like how we have things in the United States. Well, in the United States, we are a federal system. So we're going to talk more about what that means in a minute. But devolution really is usually the process by which that's going to occur. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the central government doesn't have complete control. It just means that over time, they tend to kind of delegate out control at a regional level for all kinds of reasons. I wrote in another way of saying it, transfer of political power from the central government to subnational levels of government, mostly following regional lines. So more or less the same exact thing. That definition right there comes out of the Amsco Human Geography book. So what does devolution accomplish? You got countries that don't like to give away land. We just talked about that. One thing about a sovereign country is that they can consider land within their boundaries to be their land. No one else controls that. No one else determines what it's going to be or who's going to control it. So they don't typically like to give away land. One way to prevent people from taking your land, especially national groups living in it, is to devolve your government, give some regional autonomy to groups that are different. And so that's one of probably the main reason for devolution is to make the people in your country happy. It's usually done to appease ethno-nationalistic feelings. Ethno being having to do with certain ethnic characteristics, and nationalistic being that they don't nationally identify with the majority of people in your country. And also, another way of looking at this is it prevents separatism. And that's what all these different colors are. Separatism in the EU. Every single one of these different colors represents a national group that at some point has considered or thought about independence from whoever it is that controls them. You can see the ones we've already talked about, the Basque, Catalonia, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. You can see there's been conflict here in Northern Ireland between the Irish and the Northern Irish. And then other places here that we haven't looked at. There's Flanders and Wallonia of Belgium. All right, so these are all, even though we looked at them as examples of devolution, many of them are also examples of separatism. And so it makes sense why you've seen devolved governments in these regions.